Okay, well, let's jump into our next segment, Corey, which is, drum roll, please. It is true or false, is it? Or are we going to do something else?
Yes, let's do it. Fact or
Okay,
fiction. Let's get right
nice.
into it. I love this segment. All right. Let me pull up my Q&A here. So, Michael, I'm trying to push the machine. Speaking of which, this was written by the 4.0, mind you, not the
Okay.
full-on preview mini. I'm curious. I didn't have any tokens left, so I couldn't use
Do you
those.
want me to
But
do it right now? Let me put in a prompt. Let's do,
oh,
or do you want,
please,
like,
let's do
what's
that.
a
Let's
good
do that.
prompt? What's a good prompt right
Let's
now?
see. Where are we here?
Give me true or false
Give
questions.
me very challenging. Let's see. Let's see. Let me find some good one. Give me very challenging fact or fictions I can use for Google Ads podcast. Let's go. Let's go with that. I want to see what it thinks advanced is or challenging is. Because we don't want to be like, does quality score matter? And just we've talked
Okay.
about it in the past, but we want something a little tougher. We want a debate
Okay.
here.
Here we go. Give me very challenging fact or fictions I can use on a Google Ads for a Google Ads podcast. Ooh, here we go.
Is this the preview? Or is this the mini? Or is this the 4.0? I'm
This is
curious.
preview.
Oh, cool. Okay. All
Preview.
right. Oh,
Okay,
just
O1.
a
So,
minute.
okay. Oh, this is actually not that advanced.
Okay. Tell
Increasing
it to
your
get
bid,
more advanced. Just
get
push that
more
thing. Push that thing.
advanced.
Say not good enough.
Yeah, this is just basically like a Google documentation sheet being like, the display network reaches over 90% of the internet users worldwide.
No.
Increasing your bid guarantees your top position on Google. Yeah, mate, this is clown. Mate, is this clown college here? This is ridiculous. Okay. Jeez. Here we go. Using the Google Ads API, advertisers can programmatically adjust bids based on real-time stock levels.
Oh boy. Okay. So we want to start with that one. There's
Mate,
some
I
other
just feel
good
like my
ones?
brain broke. So anyway, I'll read through a few of them. We can talk about
Yeah.
it. In Google Ads, you can custom create audiences based on users' app usage data.
Well, I don't really
Advertise,
mess with a lot. Go ahead.
Advertisers can target ads to users based on specific Wi-Fi networks they are connected to.
Wi-Fi networks.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be
Google Ads.
nice? I guess Google Analytics used to have these old. Anyway, I used to identify colleges with
Yeah. Oh,
this little
really?
thing, and yeah, because I would go off of the emails in the customer list. So like the dot edus, and then there was
Oh,
also a
wow.
way to
Then you look
go
up their
off.
IP address back in, because if they're putting if the UTM strings in analytics, which it would, because if you didn't mask it with PII, personally identified information, if you didn't have a script, you could just go, here are all the URLs that contain .edu, and just get a column that has IP address. Nice.
Yep.
See how like I already know these probably can just like we do. Um, Google
All
Ads
right.
allows for bid adjustment. Okay, look, Corey, I wanted you
All
to ask
right.
your one, right?
You're good. I got a bunch
This
of
is
them.
getting
We're
too
good.
chaotic.
We already lost everybody. Okay, fact or fiction. Okay, Google Ads machine learning algorithms can be gamed by feeding them false conversion data to prioritize certain campaign behaviors. Fact or fiction? So, can the algorithms in Google Ads be gamed by feeding them false conversion data? Michael,
I
fact or
think you
fiction?
can if you're uploading like offline data, like into like
Okay.
a just like an offline data, and then just make that the priority campaign, like if
Okay.
using random email addresses, but it would need to match it.
Hmm.
Unless you
So
just have like some, yeah. Sorry, you go, you go. I haven't done this before. That's the thing. I'm not
it's all good.
unethical towards Google.
I have tried several times because I feel like part of our job is just to break things and see what happens. So I did try this for some very ambitious advertisers who had huge budgets, and they're just like, let's try everything because we've been on the same path for too long. So we tried this, and an example is to, if we're getting low conversion volume for purchases, we could do initiate checkouts. That's not enough. We tried just
Yep,
saying
yep.
add to carts, and we give it a value, whatever we assume a purchase is going to be. Here's what I find is the biggest downside with that is that Google will adjust to what you're doing over time. And so you might get, a short-term anomaly in terms of it getting more aggressive with your bidding or whatever. But you're also telling Google that the people that are initiating checkout are people that are actually purchasing. So it's going to try to find more people that maybe start that initiate checkout but don't
Yep.
actually purchase. And
Yep.
sometimes you would think they're always connected, but they're not. There's going to be, in a lot of cases, a lot more people who are just shopping around as opposed to people who are buying. And so I think what you end up getting is maybe at best a short-term gain, but then over time it adjusts to that anomaly and it starts reducing the weight
Yeah.
of that sort of inconsistent data. So it's not going to get you long-term performance that you're
Yeah.
looking for. In some cases, kind of just a waste of budget. So,
Mate, yeah, that makes complete sense. I've actually got a few clients that are doing that, not like they're measuring it. And the reality is, let's just say your account for e-commerce is killing it and you've got a 5% conversion rate. If only 5% of people converting at the end, every stage you go up, you're only assuming that a certain percentage, 5% of that or even smaller, are going to convert. But that means more, like, let's just say 95% of people are not going to convert, which means that you're telling Google, look for more of the 95%, because statistically,
exactly.
there's 19 times more of those people than purchases. So that's the thing. Whilst we do want bigger data sizes, if you give it something that's earlier on, whilst it is a bigger data size, the quality is significantly less. And 19, let's just put in this time, 19 times more people are likely to not convert than convert. So Google's going to be like, well, let's optimize towards more likely to optimize towards that. So
Exactly.
common sense here, guys. Like, this is the thing. It's like, yes, experiment, yes, try things out. But the thing is, the algorithms learn over time as well. So then
Mm-hmm.
you are conditioning and training it to look for the 19 times of like the 95% who are not going to buy, which
Yeah.
is not who you want to advertise towards.
Also, if you're not careful in your data analysis when you're looking at historical data and you're not taking into account that conversions, if you're just looking at it through that lens of conversions or conversion value during these years or these months in a given year, were actually counted for checkouts or something like that, but like not completed checkouts, but maybe add to carts, and you're not
Yep.
factoring that in, and you run a seasonality analysis that includes that, you're going to be including all these sort of false indicators into
Yeah.
the algorithms that you're building, and those models are going to be really inaccurate. So you just got to be really careful about, if you're going to use that, understand what you're using it for, and understand it's probably just going to be for a short-term gain. And I've heard of advertisers trying to do this like every other month, where they just try to like do it again, like kickstart the algorithm, just
Yeah.
feed it a bunch of add to carts. And I'm like, guys, this is not like a long-term solution, and there's no guarantees that's really going to work any better than just optimizing the funnel, just like you would normally do. Yeah.
It's even after that last segment we just did there, it's like the things people do just to avoid the simplicity, the thing that would just actually work, which is, hey, just optimize the ad account and hey, optimize the website. Like, when you're trying to do these hacky things, it's just like you don't get it. Like, you're obviously not hitting the fundamentals properly. And if there is a significant gap, analyze it. Like, you're not going to just like it's not the algorithm. It's something in your business. It's the flow. It's the structure. It could be the pricing. It could just be that, hey, people, yeah, they don't buy. So what do we got to do to make them want to buy? Do we need to put them in an email list? Like, start think strategically, not so linear thinking. Like, what do we do to hack the ad account?
Right.
It can, yeah, more businesses would have way more success if they just came back to the fundamentals. But you did preface to say that they'd been doing the same thing for a long time and they did want to change things up, which is so important as well. It is, you need to
Absolutely.
experiment, but do the fundamentals before the experimentation.
Exactly. And I will say in that case, the one that I'm thinking of, I did it a few times about a year or two, a couple of years ago now. I did it a couple of times, but that one in particular, because it was a really large account. If people are curious how that experiment went, I'd say generally speaking, we had a really tough time recovering, let's say, algorithmically from that test. And I'm not saying it's going to happen for all accounts, but when we tried that for, I think it was like a month and a half, we gave it during a normal, moderate time of seasonal effect on sales throughout the year. We really it was a few months of trying to get things back to where they were,
Whoa.
or switch back to like the full on purchase. So, you understand the risks that are potentially involved. Again, it may not happen for you, but understand that you could be kind of throwing yourself for a loop here. When you try things like that, so it's an aggressive tactic, and not, and I wouldn't recommend it for most. Let's just say,
Yeah. It's funny how people
caution.
just think that like they can test something like that and it's like, oh, if it doesn't work, we just go back to where we were. It's like, no, that's not how this stuff works.
Yeah. Yep. But then also that causes people to be overly cautious too, right, Michael? Like where they're like, well, I don't want to interrupt the algorithm. And it's like, guys, like, it's not usually that touchy. Now there are certain industries, let's say insurance or healthcare related products, where it does tend to be like, it feels like more fragile, where you don't want to be jacking up the different levels of target return ad spend in an ad group or something like that, because you can find it really has trouble recovering. But I think in most industries, don't be afraid to like break the algorithm. Like I think people really misunderstand how this stuff works, but just be cautious. Just don't be overly cautious. Find a nice happy medium. I know that's tough to explain for people, but I think with experience you'll figure that out, where those benchmarks are for the account. Anyway, moving into the next one. That was a good one so far. Nice. Michael, do you have any? You want me to keep going?
No, I reckon. No, I don't have any more. Let's keep going.
Okay. Your bid strategy, fact or fiction, your bid strategy can influence the auction outcomes of other advertisers bidding on the same keywords.
Yeah, well, it would influence it.
Okay.
Because,
all right.
Yeah, if you're bidding, like it's an auction at the end of the day, and there's a lot of factors, but if you bid too low, you won't show. If you bid too high, you'll show, which means that other advertisers will be pushed up or down. And I think it's just, for me, that's my simple answer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Too simple?
No, I think that's just simple enough. Yeah, that is the sweet middle there.
Just right.
Just right. So yeah, I would say, in my opinion, Michael's opinion, I think that's fact. Obviously, the Google Ads auction is dynamic, as they like to say. If you're aggressively pushing your bids up, it is going to, in some cases, impact the cost per clicks of your competitors, because you're telling Google, I'm willing to bid a little bit more for every click. Obviously quality score, ad rank is all going to play a factor in here, particularly for smaller markets, if you will. Those auctions can be even more fragile to more receptive, what do you want to call it, to those major increases or decreases. This is why it's also important. I think a lot of people just forget to use the auction insight reports to kind of monitor what's going on. I mean, it's such a big factor in your data of what is happening inside these auctions. You are constantly competing with a bunch of other advertisers. What's happening there? I feel like the auction insight reports and the metrics around them are a little bit confusing to a lot of advertisers. Has been my experience, and not really sure how to use it. How do we visualize trends over time? I think a lot of people struggle with analyzing that data, but if you can, it gives you an insight into like, wow, these guys are really starting to get more aggressive over time. Maybe we need to fight back with more aggressive bids and see what happens, et cetera, et cetera. But I would definitely say that's there.
I love the auction insight report. I look at it as much as I can. I look at it with clients as well, because it's a really good visual representation of, like, whilst you can show data, some clients get it, sometimes clients don't get other data points, but when you just show them, hey, here are all your competitors, and they know who their competitors are, and then you show them some of the other data points like impression share, or I'm even forgetting them right now, but like all the data points, they're just like, oh wow, like they get it. And it's because if you just look too much in the data in the ad account with a client, sometimes it's kind of like very like, oh, it's not good because maybe you haven't done a good job. But when you go to the auction insight, that has nothing to do with you. It's purely just like a market. It shows that there's a market force here. And it's probably one of the only data points or reports that show market forces apart from impression share. And that's why I love it. And I look at it, most of the clients, I'll look at like, oh, how are we going this month versus last month, maybe same time last year as well. So we could see the variance. And it's really interesting when year on year you see more competitors come in. You're like, look, this is why your cost per clicks are going up. Like, this is why the conversion rates are getting lower. Let's have a look at these competitors' landing pages. So you copy their website, maybe run it to see if they're running ads to a landing page or just the website. And that way you can actually do competitor analysis as well. Like, I love it. I really
Yep.
like. I think it's one of the most underutilized and best reports in Google Ads.
Absolutely, it's you're bringing up a good point. It's one of the things I like about it too is to go, hey, did you guys know about this new competitor in their field? And they're like, I don't know, who is that? And I
Yeah,
hear them, on the reporting call, looking it up, and oh wow, they have really interesting. Oh, I didn't know they had this product that we just launched. Oh, that's interesting.
yeah,
And then again, it's some market research that you're doing sort of in real time with the reporting. That's you could pay these market research agencies a bunch of money to try to figure that out, but you're usually going to do that periodically, if
yeah.
ever. Most companies don't even invest in that, which is sad in my opinion. But yeah, it's a market research tool inside of your Google Ads account. So don't underutilize that. It's really important. Yep.
Yeah. And
Okay.
it's really powerful just to see what is going on in the market because a lot of
Absolutely.
the time, and especially on brand, like a lot of people, like you've got to
Hmm.
go, like these people are going after your brand.
Yeah.
Like we've got exact match keywords on your brand. They're showing next to it. You've got to be aware of that. And sometimes they're
Yep.
like, why should we bid on our brand? It's like, this is why. Because if you don't, these clowns do.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. I'll give you guys a little bonus tip because we're coming up on Black Friday, Cyber Monday time in Q4, the holiday season. So aside from just using your historical data and trying to see when new CPCs start going up for given products or whatever, or across the account as a whole, branded, non-branded, etc., or shopping, instead of just using historical data, saying, okay, around end of October, maybe the last week of October is usually when we see cost per clicks go up for these keywords, whatever. Also utilize the auction insight reports so you can see more real time, like, man, everybody's starting to go a little earlier this year in terms of getting more
Yeah.
aggressive. We need to jump on that same thing. We need to make sure we're still competing. Instead of just relying on historical data, definitely look at those auction insight reports when you get closer to those holiday seasons to make sure that you're not behind. Now, obviously, the algorithms will take some of that into account. But if you've had a very stable target return ad spend, for example, for a campaign, you can't just expect that it's going to see what's happening in the auction insights and then be able to get as aggressive as you might like
Yeah.
because everyone else is getting aggressive. You might have to change that target return ad spend to adapt, to push
Yeah.
it in that direction, especially if it feels like it's barely able to hit that number. It's probably not going to itself just go, okay, let's get more aggressive because
Mm,
it's taking your goal into account more than any other factor. So you've got to still get in there and be proactive and figure out what's going on in the auctions. Yep.
excellent.